Welcome into today's video. Today, you guys, we are going to be talking all about eyeshadow palettes. I'm going to be ranking from worst to best all of the eyeshadow palettes that I have tried for 2025 so far. I like to do these videos at the end of every quarter. So we're well into the middle of April, so I'm behind on filming this video, but I still wanted to get it up. I still like doing these. So I have 12 palettes for today. I usually try and get an even number. Unfortunately, it didn't work itself out that way. I do show you guys cutaways of these palettes up close and swatched in case you are interested. And I do have some discount codes on some of these palettes, like with some of these brands. So I will be linking those in the description box along with all of these palettes in case you are interested in checking any one of them out. I also do have my favorite on my eye today. It's just the way it worked out. If you guys saw my last year's ranking, you may not be surprised at what landed at number 1. So let's get into it. Let's start off at the bottom at the worst palette that I tried for quarter 1 of 2025. Now this year so far, I really can't call these the worst, you know? None of these sucked. I may declutter 2 of these, but the rest of them I wouldn't. I would hold on to for various reasons. Most of them I really did like, and I couldn't even call any of these bad. Like in previous videos where some of them actually just weren't very good and I had some complaints about the quality, none of these had such egregious quality issues that I feel like I would want to pass them along. So if that tells you something. So coming up at number 12, you guys, is one that can be considered like an all-in-one face palette too. It's the Play Color all-in-one palette for your full face from Judy doll. I got this in PR. Judy doll reached out to me. They did send it to me and I got to test this and a couple of other palettes that they had, but I would consider this like an eyeshadow palette. I was not using this as an all-in-one face palette. There's not even anything in here that I would use for my face. This is not like a highlighter shade. It's not very smooth. It's kind of chunky. And this one over here is like a nice bronzer, but this is more like an eyeshadow palette for me. I don't know what the color story is on this, but I will link it in the description box for you guys because each one of these does have a different name to the color story. So this was decent. I actually took this with us traveling. We went on a short weekend vacation trip and I was like, I need something compact in plastic, something I'm not worried about breaking. And this does have 3 different shimmers in it. So there is variety. I did like one of the shades, the more orangey kind of shimmer, I would say. Then one is more of a glitter topper and then the other one is just a softer satin shimmer. The mattes in here are delicious though. They're very buttery, they're very creamy. I liked that there was a maroon shade for deepening in the outer corner and I like both of the transition shades. I was using all of the shimmers. I would say there's nothing really wrong with this palette. It's just that it's a little bit underwhelming, you know, just a bunch of neutrals and a maroon and some shimmers that I have 10 times over that aren't multi-chromes, duochromes, or anything super fabulous or fantastic or exciting. So it's a good palette. Again, I have 20% off. There was quite a few things that I liked if you watch my last speed reviews from that Judy doll haul that I would consider repurchasing. This wasn't one of them, but it's not bad. It's just kind of a mediocre eyeshadow palette. All right, coming in at number 11, I do love this brand. This is the Leachi palette from Gloss Gods. I think I picked this up with my points, so I didn't pay anything but shipping with this. It's a beautiful neutral color story. Again, there's literally nothing wrong with the quality of this. It's just kind of basic. My kids are already screaming. I did find some issues kind of with the hot pink pairing it with the others. I thought it would look good as a transition shade and then I would use some of the neutral shades in the outer corner, but it didn't look as good as I thought. The shimmers here are super pigmented. They're satin shimmers with a really strong base. They're not foilied. They're super duper creamy. And so it's a very good everyday palette. Again, it's just kind of that middle of the road kind of color story, and it's meant to be like a neutral color story, so you can't hate on it for that. It's got fewer mattes than it does shimmers, so it's not as versatile as you might think, you know? But there's a lot of good satin formulas in here to be wearing all on their own, you know, as singles. So again, nothing bad with the formula. It's just a different type of formula. Gloss Gods can do foilied shimmer craziness, but these just aren't them. It's just a lighter color story, a lighter formulation. That's why it landed where it did. All right, I hope you guys don't hate me for where I ranked this next one. And it really has to do with color story, and it's really just a preference thing for me personally, but I got it intentionally because I was trying to do something different. So this is the Sickly Sweet palette from Blend Buddy Cosmetics. It is a fully pastel spring color story, so it ended up being less useful for me than I was hoping. I tend to go for super deep shades, and I'll use lighter shades as a matte in the inner corner or as a transition, but I do like to deepen with outer corner mattes. And there are are some deepening shades here. It's just that, I don't know, I don't go for shades like this all the time. And for me, the shimmers here, they're identical. They remind me of like Beauty base shimmers where they're softer, they're not chunky, they're not foiled. You're not getting a flip with these. However, there is a palette from this brand in here that's like different. They definitely changed the formulation in some of the mattes, but these are all just very standard. They have good sparkle to them. They're nice and pretty. And I know what people say, that Blend Bunny is really all about the mattes, and they are. You guys, the pigment in this just makes you work very little when you're blending. And it's amazing. There are some other brands that are like that too and pretty consistent. And so this was my first time testing the Blend Bunny formula. I'm not disappointed, but there is a palette in here that I do like better from the brand that was a new release when I got it. So I like that one so much more. Again, mattes are great. It just comes down to a color story preference for me. I just didn't love all these lighter tones as much as I thought. And some of the deeper ones, by golly, they were just not like the deeper ones I was looking for. I don't know, something about these. I will say though, you have deeper colors to pair with the lighter colors. So if you wanted a green, you've got like a deep green over here that you can pair with a lighter green. And then you do have a green shimmer. So it makes sense. There's the same thing for purples. There's the same thing for a deep blue, a brown, you know, so you might be able to get one or two neutral looks out of it, which is what I was doing. I was pairing it with a yellow shimmer or an orange shimmer and trying to do something neutral for an everyday basis. But I don't know, it's just, you guys, for the most part, I'm not going to be reaching for like pastel greens or pastel blues. It's nice to have in your collection, and I think that's why I got it. But it ended up being like, okay, I don't have any other looks to create with this, and I don't feel comfortable wearing some of these pastel colors to work. So it landed in this spot because of color story alone. All right, these next two, I love both of these brands, but I kind of felt that both of these were a little bit of a disappointing formula for them. The first one of these two, but the next one up, is the Morally Gray palette from Bella Beaute Bar. It's really cute themed. It's nice pink with heart-shaped pans. I think it was a Valentine's Day release. It was January 29th when they launched it, so around that time. The shimmer formula is amazing here. They're chunky foiled, but there's really good flips. There's the lighter shimmers. There is a deep base black shimmer in here. The pink one that's called Complex Motivations, you guys, that one has such a pink base. It stains every time I swatch it because it's such a strong base. It's so beautifully sparkly and silver and delicious. Creates a lot of fallout for sure, but I don't personally mind it. I just like a super chunky, super sparkly shade. The reason I found this a little bit disappointing was the mattes in here are very, very powdery. More powdery than I find for Bella Beaute Bar. The pinkish taupe shade in Mixed Feelings is ashy and it blends away to pretty much nothing. Then I couldn't get the other two shades to really show up, the light pink and then the beige shade. Beige shade is really for either setting your eyes or diffusing some of the deeper colors out, but you only have two deepening colors in a 9-pan palette, and the lighter tones were not showing up on me. So I wasn't loving it. And then I immediately hard panned the Mixed Feeling shade and then scraped it to get it to work because it is such a beautiful shade. It's just a dustier formula than I'm used to for Bella Beaute Bar. I'm such a fan of her mattes, and I incorporate mattes in almost every one of my looks. So for me, it was a little bit disappointing. Not that it's bad, just a little bit disappointing. Similar to the next one up, which you guys have heard me talk about because I did an eyeshadow palette a day video on this. This was the Warlock of the Wood from Davaroon Cosmetics. I like the color story, I really do. It's different, it's fun, it's cool. You can take some neutrality and mix it with some blues and some grays, but I had a lot of trouble with the dustiness of these shades as well. Same as the Bella Beaute Bar. And I don't remember that from the Gloomy Gardens palette that I got last year. Now the shimmers in here will knock your freaking socks off. They are so good. The Hemlock shade is one of the uniquest green flippy shimmers that I have in my whole collection. Cauldron, like you couldn't get a sparklier brown shade if you tried. And Talisman is like two shades in one, and both of those are absolutely gorgeous. I like the neutral row in the middle, really pretty. Wore this to work a couple of times. The Hemlock shade I wore all on its own. It's beautiful, they all perform well. The only two shades that are like soft multi-chromes are the two at the top that's a dual shimmer. The others are like really chunky and really foily, and they're beautiful. But the other ones outside of the neutral mattes, man, they are so ashy. Every time I tried to like diffuse the colors, it just kept going away, going away, going away. And I was like, what is going on? This absolutely did not happen with the Gloomy Gardens palette. And I think that the lighter the pigment, sometimes that tends to happen, but it's not all the time. Like with Blend Bunny, those are really pigmented pastels, and they're light colored like these are. So I don't know. They were just a little bit on the dusty side. Again, they were kind of diffusing. Woo, where'd they go? Bye, they were gone. But I like it for the shimmer shades, and I like the neutral row, and I like having Davaroon cosmetics in my collection. Those were just some of my thoughts. All right, the next one up, you guys, is from Cosmic Brushes. It's the Cool Trolls palette. This is the second palette from Cosmic Brushes that I've tried. The Muse was the other one, and I think it was their first launch, and I kind of critiqued it harshly in my palettes from last year, and I tried it pretty early in the year last year. But part of it was that the tones of the shades were not coming out the same from the mattes, and then some of the shimmers were so dry, they just like, where was the light reflection? I'm just somebody who wants to light reflect, okay? To the gods, please. And I wasn't getting that from the Muse palette. And also I feel like I had some hard panning in the matte shades, but this one is a little bit different. The blue tones in here are all different. They're super unique in my collection personally, and they pair really well together. So I love the blues in here, I think more than I love the neutrals. But man, some of these multi-chromes are just delicious. This Gravitate shade over here is like a green to purple. I love it. It was gorgeous. The shimmers in here definitely felt less dry than the Muse palette, and the tones of these mattes don't come out differently. So all in all, I found this like a hurrah, and definitely made me excited to keep testing Cosmic Brushes. So I have one more palette from them that I still haven't tried yet. I want to say it's the neutrals. Yeah, it's the neutrals that I still haven't tried, but I wanted to use this one, and I did do a palette a day on this as well because it was a cool tone palette when I was testing them kind of in the winter time. So this is really cool. Different shimmer colors like purples and grays and silvers and blues. Like I really liked this color story. So really liked the quality of this as well. All right, the next one up, you guys, was a new release from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. It was the plastic palette. This is the one I was referencing. They just did some different formulations in here because not all of these are exactly the same. This shade over here is a little bit more sparkly. This one here is like a wetter shade. It's something different than is in the other palette. Again, this one right here is a little bit more sparkly, and I liked that there was a lot of differences in the shimmer formula in a palette like this. I like that it wasn't like a huge palette like they've typically done. I like that it was smaller and handheld. I like that there's this hot pink shimmer in here that you can use as a matte, or you can do inner corner work with it or something like that. And I loved the color story. I like pinks, deep colors too, like blacks. I like pairing blacks with blue. So I got a lot of different looks out of it. And then you have this like really cool red to gold duochrome here. I think it's a duochrome and not a multichrome. Anyway, the color story was great because you can do neutral and you can still deepen because it has that black shade, it has pops of color for fun. And I think it was a little bit different formulation in the shimmers than in the Sickly Sweet palette. So I'm actually hoping that they come out with more palettes this size moving forward. All right, this is the very first time that I've tried a palette from this brand, but I have several that I have collected that I just haven't tried yet. And I don't know what the name of this freaking thing is or if it's even available still, but I will be linking it in the description box. This is a quad shimmer palette from Ladybug Glow. This was fabulous. I was so surprised. I thought, okay, I got a quad. I'm gonna wear it with some mattes from a different palette. It's just gonna be okay. These are beautiful. They're all speckled, and so like when you rub them together, they're a very unique shade, and sometimes you think if they're speckled, they're just gonna kind of be dominated by one primary color that's in there, but these come out like this rainbow color, and they really do translate on the eyes. They're quite gorgeous. Each and every one of them I was wearing all on their own. They're sparkly too. I really enjoyed this. I didn't get creasing. It was just such a nice palette to play with, a little quad that I think I played with for about half the week. I definitely used each one of these shades on their own individually before saying, okay, I tested them all. So I thought they were really pretty. I thought this was really good from Ladybug Glow. So now I'm even more excited to test the other palettes that I have from them. Or maybe I have tried one. I don't know. Maybe I haven't, but I just think I have. Anyway, I have more in my collection, so I'm definitely excited. All right, we are on to the top 4. So this next one was so freaking good. This is the Garden of Love palette from Shine by SD. These are are amazingly sparkly. I did a close-up for you guys so you can see how immensely sparkly these are. I do have another palette from Shine by Esty, and I think it's the Mean Greens, and I really did love it last year, but this one is even freaking better. These shimmers are delightful. Like, I don't understand how you get so many sparkles in such a little shade that looks like hand pressed. There is one in here that is a satin, which is the gray shade. I didn't find a ton of use in, other than just like as a single, and it was kind of underwhelming, but the other shades are gorgeous. My three favorite shades are the white shade, the pink shade, and then the green shade, which is a deep base with like gold sparkles. Holy cow. I kept wearing that shade on its own to work. I absolutely loved it. I kind of like a single shimmer look sometimes, you know, on the lower lid and just like buff out the edges. It's so beautiful. Anyway, this was really good. The only thing with this is that, man, you have to set your eyes because these shades will crease. They crease like no other shades in my entire collection. I mean, they crease, double crease. They're creasers. Anyway, if you set your eyes, you're fine. They do last. The sparkle just shows up, and this was way better than the Mean Greens. I really like Shine by Esty for the sparkliness. All right, the next one up, I really loved. This was a brand new release, and this was sent to me in PR, and I do have a discount code for 10% off with this brand. I asked for it because I did a ranking last year, and my favorite palette from this brand landed at #1 spot. So after that, I was like, can I please have a discount code? She was like, sure. So I was like, oh, great. I love being able to talk about a brand and then being able to say I have a discount code in case you guys are interested. It just makes me feel better that if I'm recommending something that there's some sort of discount somewhere. I mean, in the indie space, I think mostly. But this is the Shattered Romance palette from DD's Signature. I almost stumbled on my words there. This is delightful because it's got a color story that I absolutely love and a deep based black matte. The thing is with this matte, it is sparkly, but holy cow, there is not a matte in my collection that has sparkle in it that is more intense than this one. It's almost like it's not even a matte, basically. I was using it in the outer corner as a matte. It's just a preferred color story. You've got a 9 pan with extremely different shades that still pair really well together, and you can go in a ton of different directions. And I always say this about Didi, she 100% of the time now with her reformulated palettes, I guess, she does different formulated shimmers. So she's got a really chunky iridescent multi-chrome, one that is super foilied and wet. You have one here that is just sparkly as can be and a little bit softer, a little bit drier of a shimmer. I just love all the formulas. And Silent Goodbyes is such a cool tone mauve shade that I don't always find translates to my eyes when I'm doing an eye look. Oh, it's so good. There's some fun stuff in here you can do. Purple's a primarily pink. You can just stay with the black shade and do something in the outer corner, buff it in, pick a shimmer, good to go. The thing is with every one of the mattes, boy, they blend together so freaking well. This palette is better in terms of the matte formulation for me than was my favorite palette last year that I tried in 2024. They're performing better. The more I think she develops palettes, I think the better that she gets, in my personal opinion. I have 2 more palettes of hers to try that I bought with my own money and I still haven't tested yet, but I intend to in 2025. All right, the next one up is from a C Beauty brand. This is She Will Makeup. It's the Somber Garden palette. This is the mini version of this. This is cool toned deliciousness. It's so good. The fact that it goes in a gradient, the fact that you could do 4 or 5 different looks with this palette. Every one of these shades shows up on me. Every one of these shades blends together well. You've got mostly mid-tone shimmers in this palette with what I would consider 2 deeper shimmers, but I personally love mid-tone and deep shimmers, and I know that not everyone does, but I think that they're so shifty and so beautiful and they're perfectly pigmented, and oh guys, the looks that I was creating with this, I don't know, I think that it ended up becoming like one of my favorite cool tone palettes. It was just so good every single time. You know, the Cool Trolls palette was great from Cosmic Brushes, but there are some looks that I go, not my favorite, and I didn't feel that way with this palette. It looks, you know, small, but it's like mighty because it's got these tiny little pans. Anyway, it was fabulous. I highly recommend. Okay, we are on to the #1 spot, and it is the one that I am wearing on my eyes today. I did receive this in PR, so again, I do have that discount code for you guys, but this is unbiased. I've really had to be careful like how I'm ranking these palettes. I mean, at least for me, because I had to be honest, and I moved the palettes around in their ranking like several times, just coming back to it going, no, that isn't really where it belonged. And initially I put this palette like farther away in the ranking because I was thinking, you know, something you received in PR, something that you ranked at #1 last year. It's not fair. You need to move it on. But I couldn't do that. This freaking palette, okay? Let me just tell you what it is. It's the Chromebook Volume 2 from Dee Dee's Signature. All right, let me show you the insides and wait till you see the close-up swatches. So this I would consider an almost fully shimmer palette. She gave us 3 mattes at the bottom. The mattes though are freaking spectacular. I have all 3 mattes on my eyes today. Now when I start with this shade and I'm like, okay, I just want it low in the outer corner and I need it to stay there, but I need it to diffuse lightly because I'm going in with this next purple. It just did exactly what I wanted. It didn't overblend. It blended perfectly. It laid down so good for that next shade. I was like, am I good at eyeshadow? You know, I'm not an expert. I don't even get that creative with some of my eye looks. I kind of do the same standard placement over and over. So they can come out kind of shitty if the shade doesn't blend really well. These blend perfectly. The mattes here are so freaking good. They're not overly powdery. They're almost like single swipe matte goodness. Now let's talk about the shimmer formula. Okay, please. I think I have quite a few now of all shimmer palettes in my collection, and I'm struggling to find ones that I feel like I can use 90% of the shimmers in here because a lot of times they have repetition. You'll get an entire row that's of one color. You'll get another row that's of another color. This one, they're mostly lighter shimmers with the exception of, I would say 3, you know, the blue ones. I would say the one that I have on my eyes today is a deeper kind of mid-tone shimmer. I actually have 2 shades, one of the blue and one of the flippy purple green shades. But guys, look at these close-up swatches. They're delicious. They're sparkly. They're very different. They're all very flippy. I would say about half of these are on the chunkier side and the other half are a little bit more smooth. So you do get a little bit of variety in what I consider kind of an all shimmer palette, where sometimes they're all the exact same formula in just different shades and they flip differently. This one is just not that. They're lighter colors, they're wearable colors. The least wearable color in this entire one is the one I'm wearing on my eyes today, according to me. I would not wear this blue probably to work, but I was wearing all of these other ones to work. Now some of them are on the extra foily side and they do make a mess, so you want to lay a glitter glue, and even with that, it's extra work. You're working for it. But some of these are smoother. So the variety is there, right? Not a lot of repetition in the shades. You get so much more flip that even the blues, the 3 blues, they come out very different on the eyes. One's like a teal. The one that I'm predominantly wearing on my eyes is like a stark blue. I can't. I could not rank this anywhere else. This silver one up in the corner, you guys, you're not gonna find a more foilied silver like ever. I have so many palettes and I have some that come close, just none that like touch this one. This one is insane. Now these are wetter shades, so even though this is like newer in my collection, she's already leaking into the palette here. The bonding oils are just coming out. It's just the way it is. The mattes are fabulous though, you know? I do think that I would have loved this palette without the mattes, but I love it with the mattes too, because I can just reach into this palette and create something singularly. And I was doing it for work too. I love this super deep purple shade in the outer corner, just buff it in and pick one of the shimmers. Boom. I will wear that to work. That is fabulous. I'm sorry. This was so freaking good. I know her shades are like wetter because every single one of my palettes, the bonding oil leaks into the actual palette itself, but I don't really care. Anyway, this is fabulous. If it's still available, you guys, not knowing how volume 1 performed, I highly recommend this. So that was all 12 palettes that I tried for Q1 of 2025. I'd love to hear your comments on some of these palettes. I do hope that you guys enjoyed this ranking. I usually get pretty good views on these videos because they're fun to do. It's fun to talk about. It's lovely to get a good palette that performs, that, you know, you get your money's worth out of, instead of just like one time and then it's over with. You know, you can just keep going back and back and back because it just offers you that variety. So anyway, that's always fun to talk about. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. As I always say, if you're not currently subscribed, I would love to see you subscribe, you guys. I'm out of here and I hope to catch y'all in my next video. Bye guys.